All right, what is up, players? WarbossTae up in this live stream. Welcome to the party. We are working on some Death Korps of Krieg. I don't know if you noticed, I've finished my heavy weapons team. I've already finished my command squad. That means today I'm working on getting the Death Korps of Krieg line troopers done. I think they're just called Death Korps of Krieg, and then I'm gonna have to finish assembling and painting up my horsies. So, boy, that's gonna be the slog to get through, but I'm really excited. I'm at this point with my infantry. I've got the officer as well as one of the riflemen put their washes down. So we're in the wash phase right now. So to do the wash phase of this unit, I've got my Agrax Earthshade and my known oil over there. I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm also at the point where I'm going to be putting black bases, black tops on the bases. This is more of a mental reward for me. This is like my mental dopamine because it kind of makes my brain feel like I'm nearing the finish line. I'm not going to paint the rims yet. I want to get too ahead of myself because I'm still going to be manipulating them, working with them. I don't want to smudge the rims of the bases, but I do want to give myself a little bit of a like a positive feeling. All right, so Agrax Earthshade is going to add some depth and shading to the leg wraps as well as the boots. I used to do Agrax Earthshade across the entire miniature, except for the weapons I would do in known oil, but I found that, you know what, it's kind of a waste of time because I've already spent so much time getting the coat to look the way I want it to, so I don't want to add any more steps to this process of painting him. Again, I'm working my way through the combat patrol, trying to get it all finished so I could sell the whole thing on eBay or piecemeal, doesn't matter to me. The Christmas season is upon us, and being able to make some extra money through my eBay store is kind of where I want to be going. This is when I'm looking through all of my entire collection and thinking, what can I sell? What can I make some money selling so that I can get some nice presents for my family? All right, I'm taking the Agrax Earthshade that I used just now on the backpack. You saw I got the sleeping roll, the little oxygen tank here, as well as the brown backpack itself, and now I'm just carrying over the Agrax Earthshade down the front. Now, I didn't know this until I really squinted my eyes and looked at the pictures for the promotional whatever, but the rebreather boxes here are actually in black with silver buttons on the right, and then the little gauge white with the red. Hello, Dino Start. Hey man, does that paint just make the details pop? It does. This is one of Games Workshop's washes. Agrax Earthshade and known oil, when I was getting back into painting, they had introduced these washes and I love them so much. I doused everything in washes until the point it was like too much, you know what I mean? Because then you muddy up the details, and then when you try to paint the details again, there's so much wash dried on the miniature, it's not good. So you want to use it sparingly, and you want to use it, the way I like to use it is I use a larger size brush. All the brushes that I use, I linked in the description. It's going to take you to Golden Maple's website where they will, it's going to take you to like a set of brushes. And this is the largest brush you get in the set. It's a size 2, and it's really good for applying wash. It's got long, fat bristles, and yeah, it's perfect for it. Right now, I'm gonna put some more Agrax Earthshade. I'm gonna start in the backpack here. It makes the details pop because it really gets into the recesses. So it, not falsely, but it creates the illusion of depth by darkening and lining all of the shadows. Like you can tell in the leg wraps here. Okay, then I'm gonna pull the Agrax Earthshade around the corner. And then up over the shoulders, down the front. I painted these guys buttons in black, or in gold. Sorry, not black. Usually with my older Krieg minis, I painted the buttons in silver, but I don't know, gold seems to pop against the powder blue of the coats. So I'm gonna keep it. Now we're gonna reward ourselves by painting some black on the top of the base. I mentioned this earlier in the stream when I was doing this, but it's about this point, because I've been painting all of their base coats, it was a little bit of a slog, and I just, getting to this point, it's telling my brain that the end is in sight. We could see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's just a little bit of a dopamine jolt to get you to keep going. Oh, I forgot to do the known oil wash. That's okay. Yeah, I don't think the regular rifles really need the known oil wash. I can, but I think the more important thing is to get some known oil onto. See, look how the boots and the leg wraps look without a wash. If I put this Agrax Earthshade on, all of a sudden there's depth, there's shading, there's shadows, and the illusion of me having spent a lot more time building up highlights and levels than I really did. I'm just slapping on this wash and it does all the work. We used to call it talent in a jar. Or in a pot rather, not a jar. This is painting talent in a pot. You add it and it immediately makes your model look better. So welcome to my stream, everybody. I'm WarbossTae. I've been posting on YouTube Warhammer content like this since 2009. Back then I was single. I was gonna conquer the world with my amazing Warhammer video content. And since then I've gotten married, I've started a family, and now I still do this for fun, but I've also got an eBay store, and I'm trying to make it work here as a YouTuber, posting silly Warhammer memes as well as doing regular content to prove that I actually know what I'm doing in this hobby. People are like, WarbossTae, you don't even have any miniatures. All you do is make stupid memes. Well, that's mostly what I do now. If you'd like to support me, you can click on the links in the description. You can also join my Discord, where you can post progress on your own projects that you're working on, meet some really awesome people. How long does it take to make one? 5 minutes? 2009, long time. Oh yes, cassette, long time. Hello, Derek. Good to see you. So I started painting these tonight, but I spent a pretty good amount of time on them. Luckily, I already primed them. Like I assembled them and I primed them already, so they're ready to go. Painting wise, honestly, maybe it took me a couple of hours to get to this point, because I started with the base coats. Base coat means the first color you paint. So like the leg wraps, the boots, this is all the base coat. And then now I'm adding the washes. But the coat, I actually did 3 layers. I did the base coat, which is the darkest color. I did the the mid-tone, the mid-highlight, which is rust gray. The first color is the Fang. The mid-tone is rust gray, and the third top highlight, the brightest highlight, is Finalizing gray. I think I mentioned this, but since having gotten back into the hobby, I've gotten married, and I also have some children now. I've got my own little brood. So if one of my kids wake up, because they're in the toddler stage where they're trying to sleep through the night, but if they wake up and I'm gonna have to leave, then I will cut the stream short so that you don't have to be staring at a bunch of miniatures on the table, and hopefully I can come back. Hi, I don't play Warhammer, but I know someone who does, and they won their game not long ago. Ah, very good. Candy Queen, very good. Make a video about painting Krieg. I've got several. Hello, what's something real cheap I can make to hold the minis while I paint? Alex, this is for you, my buddy. Something real cheap is just like a paint pot. Just flip it upside down, go to the store and buy something called poster tack or hobby tack. It's like a putty. Stick it to the bottom, spread it out, smooth it out. It's gonna be sticky. Just take your miniature and pop it right on top. I've been using this like cheap painting handle technique since 2009, pretty much. Actually, no, maybe 2010 or 11. What I used to do was hold the minis like this. This is really bad for your fingers, so don't do this. I used to paint night goblins, and one time I painted a horde of 100 night goblins on 20mm bases. Those are thin bases, or like very small. And I think I gave myself permanent damage to my hand because of that. So if you cannot, I linked the painting handle in the description of this video, and you could purchase a Citadel painting handle just like this. I find this the easiest to use because it's got this thin flue down the middle like a champagne glass. Cheers! But it's easy for me to hold. But if you don't want to pay for a painting handle, like I said, anything your hand can wrap around. So an empty paint pot, a prescription pill bottle. I used to use a cork from a crafts store back in Hawaii. There was this craft store called Benjamin Franklin, and I used to buy, like one time I bought a piece of cork, like a cork handle, and then I used the poster tack technique, and that lasted me years. I was using that, and then it worked for me. So save yourself some money if you want, but if you want to really get the best experience, the Games Workshop painting handle is so easy to use. And the great thing about this one, I had a hard time turning the painting handles that I used to use, like the cork. I had a hard time like holding it upside down and stuff. But with this, because the flue here in the center is so small, so thin and narrow, you can turn it any direction and really hold it very simply and easily between your fingers. Yeah, so that's why I really like something like this where you can maneuver it, because a painting handle isn't only to hold your miniature while you paint upright. You have to be able to turn it upside down to get it all the underside and everywhere that is gonna bother you if left unpainted. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, so if I see that something hasn't been painted, I will get kind of frustrated until I can get there. I used to be more of a perfectionist. They had this miniature called the Warriors of Chaos, the Chaos Warrior, where the entire left side of the miniature was almost covered completely by the shield, so nobody would know that you hadn't painted it underneath that shield, because the shield, once you glue it on, it's permanent, right? It doesn't move. But me being the kind of obsessive painter that I am, I would not want to finish a model for the Warriors of Chaos until I had painted it completely. So I would keep this shield separate, and I would waste so much time like meticulously painting the left side of the miniature just to cover up all of my work by gluing on the shield. It was ridiculous. If I could give myself any advice from back then, from what I know now, it would be don't waste your time painting stuff that nobody's gonna see. And the young me would say, "Whoa, that's crazy. This is my hobby. This is what I enjoy. I like spending time painting everything." But you know what? Time is so precious. We have so little time. I have so little time now that I have children that I want to sleep at night. I want them to sleep at night. I don't want them to wake up screaming and keep me from painting my minis. So yeah, a painting handle, and don't waste time painting things that no one's gonna see. Like I love looking at the interiors to the Space Marine vehicles that sometimes people paint them up with the with like all the details and everything. And then they just close it up. They put the roof on. Nobody's gonna see it. You know, it's funny too. I saw in the Empire for Warhammer Fantasy, if you look at the Hellstorm rocket battery, that model has on the chassis, right at the center, that gets completely covered up by the gun itself. Right at the center, hidden in the framework, is a skeleton. And in the fluff and the lore, they would inter like a particularly famous or talented engineers that used to work on the gun, so they could stay with the gun while the gun would keep being deployed to all these new war fronts. I thought that was so grimdark and so funny. Like that's such a great piece of lore. Like you're a gunner on this rocket gun, and when you die, you get to stay with it. You don't get peace in a graveyard. They're gonna put you in the gun, and you're just gonna hang out. All right, let's check out the comments. I'll look at the handles, but hell yeah, thank you, brother. Any other starter tips? Just bought some stuff and keen to start. Hey, Pinto Biscuit. Yeah, Alex. Painting handle, you need good quality brushes. Don't be fooled by people that tell you that you can use like any kind of decent brush. Like you can get away with a cheaper brush or set of brushes, but if you really want to do some stuff, like look at this. I painted this clock face, this watch face here. And I did that using this size 2/0 golden maple brush. I linked the set where you can get this. This size 2/0 is like the smallest brush that I've ever used. And it's really good. The tip is super fine, and I take care of my brush. I've had it for months now, and I can still do fine detail work like that. I'm trying to see if I can find my gun 3 of my Krieg heavy weapons, because I made a meme of this. I painted the hazard stripes on the back of this guy's duct tape roll just for funsies. So there's like yellow and black hazard stripes there. There's also, basically, get good brushes, use good brushes. And the best brushes that I can recommend are the ones in the link. If you're gonna get that one, then use the promo code WART, so it could save you 10%. Here, I did like hazard stripes on this wire here, yellow and black, just to see if I could do it. I also did hazard stripes on this grim dark toilet paper using the same brush. Like when you look at it up close, it's a little messy, but I mean, from the tabletop, I think it looks pretty cool. That yellow and black, the hazard stripe is such an awesome effect, and it's frustrating to do, but it's worth it. Also, this guy's eyeballs, which are like almost impossible because he's got a brim on his helmet, so you can't get the line, or you can't dot it from above. And when you try to dot it from the bottom, he's got this grill in front of his mouth, so your bristles can't reach the eyeballs. The only way to do it is to go right in, and you have to go blind like Luke Skywalker on the Death Star, because there's no way to see how you're doing. So what I did was I painted the eyes black, and then I painted the white dots inside so that it looks like they have a black eyeliner. And then I used my size 2/0 brush from Golden Maple, and I went straight in and dotted it. Let's get a little bit of this highlight down. It's funny because this light that I'm using, it's so severe, it's so bright, but it helps me to see it, but it really kind of throws off the coloring when I'm working. That watch is hectic. Yeah, and what about airbrushes? Yes, airbrushes are worth it. They save so much time. Airbrushes will save so much time. And I think what's the place that sells, like, if you can get a good compressor, and if you get an airbrush, you want to get gravity feed dual action, because that's the best control you can get for an airbrush. You want to be able to control the amount of paint that's coming out, and the speed and the thickness of the paint. So gravity feed dual action is the way to go. As for compressors, it's just like, how much money do you want to spend? How loud do you want it to be? But yeah, for me, this is the thing that I'm most proud of painting tonight, was this watch. Was that Lati L39? Was that gun Lati L39 or the previous one? Benjamin's, it was a Krieg twin-linked heavy stubber. So I don't know what the equivalent for that would be in the real world, but in Warhammer 40K, they're called the twin-linked heavy stubber. You can also build them up as like this heavy flamer option, which I think is so cool because it's got, like, the guy's got the promethium tank on his back, and it's feeding into the heavy flamer, and I think that looks really cool too. Or you can go with the traditional big bad, the las cannon, which is like old faithful, old reliable las cannon, but I went with the twin link stubber there. How do you know what colors to mix for models? Trial and error with color theory? Well, you can watch WarbossTae painting video, or any video on YouTube. Most of the YouTubers have their own style, and depending on what style you like, there are some guys out there that like to paint with contrast paints. There are some guys like me that paint traditionally, which means that I do hand brushing, base coat, wash, highlights, mixture of all three of those. And it really depends on what your style is and what kind of style do you want to have. I personally don't care for the contrast paints, but lately I've seen a bunch of contrast painted miniatures that I really like the look of. But I've always felt that contrast painted miniatures look a little, I don't know, wonky. They don't look like the paint is covering the model as nicely as it should. But to each his own, and contrast paint has saved people so much time. The Army Painter makes a version called Speed Paint, and it does save a lot of time. So it really depends on how you want to paint. Games Workshop also has a free app called the Citadel Color app, but I've found that that's not quite accurate. they will put one of their miniatures that is like completely painted like this. Like, oh, do you want to paint the Krieg banner standard guy? Here, this is all the colors that you use. But the colors that they use aren't an exact one-to-one match, if that makes sense. Last question, white lamp or light? White lamp or light? I've got 3 lamps. I've got this big honkin' table one, this desk lamp that clips over there. And this is like the brightest one that I've got. I've also got this one here in the back, which I got from a Joann's. And this is a pretty nice one. And I've got the third one here that's like more of a direct focus light. But I would suggest looking at nail technicians, you know, for like nail salons, because they have this one kind of light that goes over the table like a rainbow, and it focuses all the lights like right in front of you so that you can really see every angle of whatever you're working on. And it really makes so much sense that the nail technicians would have like the best kinds of tips and tools to use, because they're really in an adjacent kind of art to painting miniatures, where we need good lighting, we need it to be focused like right in front of us, and we want to make the model so pretty. All right, Agrax Earthshade for the leg wraps. But this is such a great hobby, Alex, and I started, like when I got back into the hobby, I really wanted to go gung-ho and do as much as I could on the painting side, because when I was a kid and I got into the hobby, I was one of those gamers that I just wanted to make fun, awesome lists, and then I would cart around my miniatures in an IKEA Tupperware bin with no kind of security or foam or anything, and so they were always getting messed up, they were always falling apart, they were always getting chipped, because back when I first started playing, all the miniatures were in metal, mostly all the miniatures. They had started developing some plastic kits, but yeah, 2nd, 3rd edition Warhammer Fantasy, most everything was metal. So if you dropped something, it would chip, it could smash apart. It was just not a fun time to be had. So when I got back into it, I was like, I really want to learn how to paint. And I know, having been back into the hobby for a while, that I'm not ever going to win a Golden Demon or any prizes for painting. But I feel like my skill, my painting, the skills that I teach, are good enough that from far away on the table, they look pretty good. And I'm just going to keep getting better. Hey, Nick the Salamander, welcome, buddy. Fire, fire, fire. Matamer, hey, I just started the hobby like 2 weeks ago with the Black Templars. Nice. Tips with washes. I feel like I'm doing too much washing or too little. Okay. Hey, okay, Maine. I know Warhammer Fantasy. Warhammer Fantasy, that's a name I haven't heard in a very long time. Is there a way to be relatively consistent? Yep. Okay, Maine. I acknowledged you, buddy. I do know Warhammer Fantasy. Yes, Black Templars. Black Templars is a great army. In fact, I'm going to give you 3 colors right now that are perfect for Black Templars. In fact, I would actually suggest you check out my Black Templars painting videos, because then I actually show you how I do it. So first, of course, you have a spray primer, right? A black, Chaos Black spray primer. And then I would suggest you use Dark Reaper, Thunderhawk Blue, and, oh, what's the third one? Fenrisian Gray for black. And if you do that, I think you will have a very good time with your Black Templars. I also think if you want to, you can use Corvus black. Corvus black is a great color to use. Here's a Black Templar from the Combat Patrol box, the old Combat Patrol box. So I'll demonstrate. So if you're asking specifically about washes, because that's my color recipe for just plain old Black Templars. I would only use, for washes, I would only use known oil, and I would only use that sparingly on the silver bits, just to give it some depth. I don't think you need to wash the actual armor, unless you're trying to tie and unify the colors. Nick the Salamander with the gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Nick. Oh, I hope you guys all appreciate that Nick is just giving you a gifted membership. That is fantastic. Wow, thank you, Nick. Hello, Natasha. Oh, it's 11 o'clock in the morning there. I am not a racist. For the Emperor, Lucas Jones. Why would you ask if I'm a racist? That's the craziest thing to ask. Okay, I have a dry brush here, but I don't think I really need it. So, okay, I'm gonna demonstrate my favorite. Nick, that is so awesome. Nick is always coming in clutch with the gifted memberships. Don't forget to thank Nick, because that is just fantastic. That's awesome. All right, now when you're highlighting black, I don't know why it's so dusty. Dark Reaper. Yeah, Black Templars. This guy's asking about Black Templars. He said he started playing Black Templars. So when you're playing Black Templars, or any armor, you could use this for Iron Hands, you could use this for Raven Guard, any sort of black armor. You could use this for Black Legion if you want. I'm totally new to figure painting, so this is fascinating. Thank you, Natasha. I'm an old dog when it comes to figure painting. So I'll demonstrate my technique here on the leg armor. Now, there's two ways to paint. The figures. There's two ways to paint Space Marine armor or any kind of armor that's black. When you have flat surfaces like this leg armor, and you have surfaces with hard edges, like the side of the leg armor. So what I would do is take the Dark Reaper paint that I just put onto my wet palette, and I would find the edge, and then I would highlight it up. Then I could use the paint that's on the tip of my brush, and I could bump up the edges that I'm highlighting like that. See, so I'm building towards the point here on the top where the knees are. I would just edge highlight like that. Then I'd use the tip of my brush to paint this line here because I can't reach it with the flat of my brush. Flat of my brush for this hard edge, and then tip of my brush for the point. Although I just painted black in that area, so that's not a good example. All right, so the first thing you do off of a black is paint this dark bluish gray highlight. And then, see on the toe, there's not really an edge, but it's more of like a softer rounded curve. So what I'm doing is I'm picking out the points of light coming from my lamp, rather than a straight line like on this one, this armor plate. I'm just picking out points of light for focus. A big part of this is finding the right colors to do these highlights. And I think somebody asked earlier, like, is it trial and error, or do you have to have a certain recipe? And the truth is, you can do anything and mix and match and find your own way of doing it. Can't find my Thunder Hawk glue. Yeah. Okay, we'll just go without. So you just find the colors that work for you, and you use. I once saw somebody use yellow as the base for their pink, like a really bright yellow, and then they just kept adding contrasts and washes to it. So the second time, yep, a single line really does make a lot of difference when you're painting. So I'm gonna paint using the same color recipe. See, I'm gonna mix it up. I don't have the tool that I need on my hand, so I'm gonna switch it up. And instead of using Thunderhawk Blue, I'm gonna use Rust Gray. And instead of copying and following the line that I just did, I'm going to pick out the sharpest edges like the corners, or just like little pinpricks of light here at the front. So that's the second color. And then the beauty of painting, because Pickles just asked, what if you F up? You just go back down a step. So in this case, black. And say, I think my knee armor looks a little too blue and it's too fat. Then I just trim it down like this. And you fix it. Now you don't have to do all this, but if you really want to get better, then it's like all about practicing, right? There's one last thing I want to show you. All right, so say I want to do a checker pattern. Bro, what's wrong with this chat? Thank you, Mercapule. Do you use a different brush for all the colors? No, I just wash. I use a different brush if I'm doing a different technique. Like, I'm gonna show you how I do a checker pattern. And, man, where's my dark red? And I would want to use like a smaller brush for this. Okay. So if your one brush size is a little too big, then that's why I say it's good to get a good, like a good set of brushes. Like you want a detail brush for doing eyeballs and fine detail script work. And then you want a bigger brush to do like washes. All right, so, oh, I gotta shave that flash down. That's okay. So I'm gonna take my red paint. And this is why you should use a detail brush when you need to do detail work, because you can draw these fine lines in a lot better. I have a whole video on doing checker patterns, so if you like this and you want to check that out, then I guess you would just search for checker, how to paint checkers. Checker patterns are like iconic to Games Workshop's earlier stuff. A lot of Warhammer 40K, even fantasy artwork from the 90s had checker patterns on it. Goth orcs use a lot of checker patterns. You can even see it in a lot of their more current stuff. Pandan, yes, Warhammer. What faction you painting? Right now, I'm just using this to demonstrate how I paint black armor. It's a Black Templar, but I'm really working on these guys. I'm just waiting for the paint to dry on them, the washes, before I go in, do some final details, and then get them transferred up, get the decals on, and then put some mud basing. Eventually, they're gonna look like these guys. Muddy trench basing. They're from the Krieg Combat Patrol, which I've linked in the video. So if you want to get one of these for yourself, it comes with a command squad, which I've painted up, a 10-man unit, which is what I'm doing right now, the guns, which I've finished, and then the horses, which I've got to build up and paint. It's a great combat patrol. If you want to just like get experience painting different, like if you get bored painting one thing, then all of these guys are different. They look different. This is the only unit that has like copy poses, similar poses rather. And then you got guns and you got horses. So it's a lot of fun. Check out the link in my description if you're interested. You can see if that's for you. Black Templars just started 2 weeks ago. Nice. Wanted to collect them, but I'm already like 3 units deep in Ultramarines. Very nice. Got a 3D printer and it broke down. Oh, man. All right, once your first color is laid down and it's pretty much dried, since I'm using black armor, I'm going to be doing red and black checkers. So I'm going to take my size 2/0 brush and I'm going to put the black paint right on the tip there. Crusade Ancient. Yep. That's a good deal. See, so I just drew 2 vertical lines down. It's okay if you mess up or if you feel like they're not exactly straight. Then I'm gonna go sideways. And at this point, all you have to do is paint every other square in black. And you just have to determine, well, which is the best ones to paint in black. Let's actually do one more line right there. Boof. This is WarbossTae's masterclass on how to do checker patterns. And then the trick for doing any kind of checker pattern is that you do the highlight color. Now the highlight color for red is going to be Evil Sun Scarlet, and for the black is just going to be Dark Reaper, because that's the same one that I used. You need to have 3D printing hobby knowledge. Yeah, I know. Every time I see someone's posting about their 3D minis and how it's like saved them so much money, I really am tempted to start. Okay, so when you're highlighting checkers, you draw an L down and then to the right. Or if you think of it this way, it's like a crescent moon. Remember, if you make a mistake, like I said earlier, you just go back with your previous paint and you clean it up. The crescent L is the optical illusion that you're making, so that the person who looks at your miniature thinks that your lines are a lot straighter than they really are. You're fooling their brain into seeing something that might not be completely accurate because, let's say, you don't have the steadiest hands and your checkers are a little crooked. Like my checkers are always crooked, but because I do this highlighting technique from the tabletop away, you can't really tell. "3D printing is a lot of trial and error, but it's very satisfying. There's some YouTube channels that explain the whole process." That's what I need to do. I need to look at some YouTube channels that actually describe the process. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that little tutorial on how to paint black armor, how to do black and red checker patterns. Is it best to use black primer? Okay, so whenever you're painting any kind of miniature, I always advocate using the color that is the predominant color, which is really easy for Space Marines. You just look at what color the Space Marine is, and you find that color primer. So I wouldn't prime an Imperial Fist with black primer. I would use yellow. Ultramarines, I would use a blue primer. I think they have a McCrag blue primer. That sort of thing. If you guys are enjoying the stream, I would appreciate it if you sub to my channel if you're not already. And if you leave a heart, leave the stream a like, especially if you got gifted a membership from Nick the Salamander. Oh my goodness, what a hero. If you'd like to support my work in a more substantive way, I would love it if you become a member of my channel. Nick the Salamander, a couple other people, everyone he gifted memberships to, they're all members of my channel, so that grants them early access to all of my stupid meme videos. It also gives you access to the Discord, the special channel members Discord room where I have all of my digital downloads, which are like recipe cards, progress trackers, project planners, that kind of thing. All sorts of things that I wish I had when I was first getting into the hobby to help my brain focus and organize what I'm doing. I did not make these. Games Workshop made these. Hello, Riley. And if you really want to just help me out with a quick super chat, that would be awesome as well. All right, that's my channel plug. Thank you for watching. I'm a small YouTuber. I'm struggling out here in these streets, man. Gotta get these Krieg painted up. I actually did a full-length video tutorial on how to paint the guns, one of these stubber guns. I think it was gun number 3 with the hazard stripes on the duct tape. So I actually have this filmed, all ready to go. The only thing I need to do is record the voiceover for it. So if you want to learn how to paint your heavy stubber Krieg heavy weapon, then that is coming up soon, hopefully. If I can, all I need to do is get an hour in the booth where I'm not painting minis to put on my eBay store, where I'm not worried about my kids waking up in the middle of the night, then I will have that done. But I'm almost done with this, so let's actually start carrying these through to completion. My day was great. How was yours? An easy way to paint up leather, to highlight leather, is this color called Scrag Brown. You can use it on Mornfang Brown like I'm doing, or you can also use it on a darker brown like Rhinox Hide, Dryad Bark. It'll show up better on those darker browns, but still from far away, this looks pretty good. Scrag Brown shows the scratches and the wear and tear on leather. you look at leather, like old leather, it's got natural scratches and wear to it. So this is a great way to show that on a model. All right, what I'm going to do now is paint the little rebreather box on the inside. So let's use some lead belcher. Oh, I gotta restart the fire. The fire is burning low. So I'm gonna throw a couple logs on the fire, and I'll be right back, everybody. We'll put that guy there so you can look at him. Look how pretty he is. All right, I will only be a minute. I'm just gonna run to the fireplace and throw some logs on. All right. Going at 52 minutes, almost an hour. Yeah, this light is very unforgiving. That's okay. That's okay. All right, I think he's ready for his transfers. It's amazing how many regiment numbers there are on one of these transfer sheets. I wish instead of all of these different numbers, though, they had more, like they had 2 of each unit, because I want to make all of my guys in the 143rd, but there's only 10 in 143 numbers in white. So that means that I can't have all of my combat patrol come from the same regiment. Isn't that crazy? What a big transfer sheet with all of these different, all of this space for regiment numbers. But there's no way to have everyone from the combat patrol come from the same regiment, because you got 5 horsey riders, you got 3 gunners, the fire coordinator, 10 line infantry, and then all of the officers in the command squad. And yet you've only got 10, of any number. So say, oh, I really like the number 101, 101st Airborne. I'm paint them up like Americans in World War II, and you're not gonna have enough to cover an entire combat patrol. It's a little bit of a bummer. Okay, rant over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Also, I think I mentioned this in another video, but like, it's weird to me that they made regiment numbers in black, because the classic Krieg color scheme is like dark silver or black metal armor. I guess they changed it up a little bit though, so maybe that's a non-issue. Oh, sorry, I keep bumping the camera. Yeah, if you guys and gals are interested, I hope you check out the Discord. The Discord itself is free, and we have such a great group of people. All right, this is how I do transfers if you're interested. When the transfer is ready to go down, I brush it just enough so that I can pull the paper away. I'm not brushing the transfer onto the miniature because that's like a quick way to get the transfer folded on itself. It's a little crooked, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hobby knife and just kind of nudge it into place. Looks like it's starting to dry. Holy cow. Don't dry there, buddy. There we go. Oh no, the one came off. There. Whew. It's like brain surgery. All right, I was playing Warhammer Dark Tide and someone made their character look like a Death Krieg and it looked really cool. What war are they from? Death Corps of Krieg had a great campaign called the Siege of Vrax. If you can look that up, there's some great artwork. VRAKS. And this regiment, the 143rd, was like heavily featured in that. Are Pro Acro paints good? Johnny the Kid, yes, they're terrific. My favorite is Bold Titanium White. It is the brightest white, and it is also really easy to use. It goes on really well, and it's my favorite white color. I don't have any experience with the other Pro Acryl colors, but if they're as good as Bold Titanium White, then yeah, I suggest using them. So hold it down and then slide the paper away. There we go. Are they before or after the Horus Heresy? It would have been after. How come Vallejo paint dries up but still feels sticky? I'm not sure. I haven't used too much Vallejo paints. Vallejo paints are great though because they come in a dropper bottle. These Games Workshop paints, boy, they are not it. The design is wrong. Like, this is a Mephiston red paint. I use it a couple times. Now when I pop it open, it is completely gunked up. And I know you can say, oh, there's paint dried in the lid or whatever, but it shouldn't ever be that way. If I shake it up, yeah, it just looks like all frothy, shaken up water. Somebody told me that if you rubber band one of these to like a sawzall, a jigsaw, like the blade, then you turn it on and you like set it to maximum speed, then it will get rid of any of that and shake it up real good. But it's just frustrating when you spend like $6 or $7 for a pot of this paint that's supposed to be a premium product, and it's just not good. I love the Black Templars, they're terrific. AK paints, I'm not sure. I use AK, I use their effects, like this, for their basing. I'm going to be using this muddy ground effect. In fact, it's just a couple more things I have to do, and then I can demonstrate it on this guy here. Pop it off and flip it. So this is a tip for if you're doing like a heavier fabric, like I'm trying to do like a canvas kind of fabric, almost like a denim for these trousers. My first color, Dryad Bark, is a nice deep dark brown chocolatey color. And then the highlight, I'm using Gorthor Brown. But instead of doing like a line highlight, what I'm doing is I'm gonna make little diagonal hash marks that follow the lines of the folds that are already sculpted onto the pants. So it's like naturally picking up the lines anyways. In fact, if you have a good detail brush, then doing these diagonal hatches it's a great skill to have to do any kind of highlighting. And we'll just carry it on for the gloves here. There you go. All right, yeah, I love Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White, but I'm gonna use Corax White to do. Yeah, Hell's Reach is great. You know what's so funny? I find like most people answer Iron Warriors or the Night Lords. All right, here we go. Try to see if I can get in there. All right. If I can just get right at the end. Danger zone. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are out there in the world. It's a crazy time to be alive. Given my micro set a little bit of time to dry, so now I'm going to hit my transfers with micro sol to dissolve the transfers and give them a painted on look. And this is a little tricky because if this gets under the transfer, then it could lift it up and make it float around like Winnie the Pooh in the Great Flood floating around in his honey pot. So you want to just press your transfer down so that it squeezes out all the moisture underneath. Then microsol, what it's going to do is it's going to adhere it and almost make it look like it's melting the transfer paper into the plastic. So this is what, if you have like an ultramarines or any kind of space marine shoulder, like shoulder pad that you have to get a transfer on, then it's really good to use microsol, because otherwise when you use paper and just like dip your transfer into paper and then paint it onto the shoulder pad, the transfer paper on the corner could lift up. But when you use microsol, then the transfer paper will kind of adhere to the curved surface of the shoulder pad. All right, I think we are just about ready for some mud. I like to use a toothpick. Mud? That's not mud. That's doo-doo, baby. Every time I use the, the stuff that's on the lid, it's like almost dried already. It's a little harder to work with. The mud is a product from AK Terrains called Muddy Ground. Oh shoot, I should have linked that in my video too. I'll show you the jar in just a second. I want to get this all down first. So it's a pre-made mixture. It has this grit texture already mixed in. So all you really need to do is just apply it. All right, whenever I do texture like this, you got to remember that your guy doesn't just land in the mud. He's been tromping through it, so there should be some on his boots. There should be some on the bottoms of his boots. The back here. Ooh, too much. That's okay. War is a dirty business. You don't want to put too much because you don't want people to think that you just covered up. Like I covered up a little bit of detail there on the boot and on the bottom of the jacket. But you do want it to look realistic, so there's a little bit of a compromise you got to make. Then you got to make sure, this is why I use a toothpick, because then I can just like shove it in the back between the guy's legs, underneath where he's kneeling. There we go. All right, what are you gonna do when you finish the Death Krieg? I'm gonna sell it on eBay. I've already got the command squad and the guns listed. Hopefully I can get these guys done by tonight and list them as well. If I can get the horsies finished, then I'm gonna list the whole thing for a good price. But we'll see if anyone wants to buy them separately. I'm not averse to that. Okay, Beagle, this is what it looks like. AK Terrain's Dark Earth diorama series. So you can add snow to it. You can, this is what it's supposed to look like when it has all sorts of other stuff in it. It dries matte, which means if you want it to look like shiny, wet, fresh mud, just take some gloss varnish and splash it around. I didn't really care for that. I thought it was okay if he looks like he's in some dried mud doing his thing. But yeah, you can add all sorts of other different effects to it. My first trooper done for this squad. What do you guys think? Let me know. I can see some parts that need a little bit of a touch up. This is why it's so funny. Like when I was getting ready for tonight's live stream, I didn't have this big bright light on and I couldn't see any of this stuff. And now that I've got this huge bright light on, it's like, oh man, I can see every bad brush stroke, every little thing that needs to be fixed. I'm not gonna fix everything, but Sassy, thank you. But I am going to fix up some things that are gonna bother me if I don't. Like the gas mask here. We will highlight. Right, and then the sides of the base, I'm gonna paint that now, and then I'm gonna put them on the side to dry. Let's get the rest of these guys on the deck, ready to go. I mentioned this before, but my favorite guy in this squad is the comms op, because he has this stopwatch that I just painted up. I just think that's so much fun. The gold is Scale Colors Necro Gold. It's the gold I use for all of my gold colors, and then just Korax White and a little bit of black paint. How much does one go for? Do you mean new out of the box, or that I'm gonna list it for? You can get, in fact, you know what? I saw on eBay, somebody was selling, or these, this unit has sold on eBay. People have been selling it on eBay for like really cheap, like 30 bucks. Which, I mean, when you consider that Games Workshop charges you like 40, 50, I don't even know how much they charge for it now. It's a really good price. For me on eBay, though, I'm gonna charge, I don't know. I gotta take a look at what it's been selling for. Okay, so now I'm just painting the rim of the base. You can really paint it any color you want, but I really like black. I think black is a nice color because it separates what's happening on the base from the side. I used to paint the sides of my bases brown, and it just was not, it didn't look that great. But black is good. It looks like a display piece from a museum or something. All right, we'll set them on the side to dry, move on to the next one. How thin is the brush you use for details like in the pocket watch? The size is a 2/0, and it's my favorite detail brush. I linked it in the description if you want to see for yourself. You actually get 4 of these nice detail brushes in a set along with 3 dry brushes. And if you use my promo code WART, then Golden Maple is going to give you 10% off. So check it out. This is the size that I use to do all of my fine details though, like script work and hazard lines, checker patterns. I really love this size. It's perfect for doing all of that fine detail work. And then this is another one of the brushes. It's the biggest brush that comes in the set. It's a size 2, and it's really great for doing base coats and washes and all sorts of other stuff. All right, so the thing I want to do now is kind of batch paint. I tried making a checkered pattern on the shin of my Inferno Sergeant. It didn't come out so well. I had to paint it over. Did you see, were you here when I did the checker pattern, Beagle, on the Black Templar? Did you see how I did it? Oh, okay. Let's see if I could find them. Areas. Okay, so, man, Beagle, I just did it like right before you started commenting. So this is how it came out. I think it came out okay. It's with anything though, it's like practice, right? So because they're Black Templars, I use black as one of the colors, and then I use red as the opposite color. And for any kind of checker pattern, what you do is you paint a big column of the color you want. So in red, I painted corn red down the whole side of the leg armor. And then I took my black paint with my 2/0 fine detail brush from Golden Maple. I traced 2 vertical lines, and then I just did a bunch of horizontal lines to make the checker pattern. So once you have the black lines in, then you just take black paint and you paint in every other line like a checkerboard. So you've got your red squares, you've got your black squares. The thing, if you mess up or if your boxes are not as the same size, it looks really messy. This is where you clean it up. You create the optical illusion of having a really evenly spaced checker pattern by painting a highlight color. So for the red, I used corn red as the base and then Evil Sun Scarlet as the highlight. And all I did was paint an L shape. So down and then to the right for each of the squares. And then I did the same with Dark Reaper for the black. Just paint little L's or crescents. And then from the tabletop away, it looks like a pretty decent checker pattern. It's not gonna win any painting awards, but I think it looks really good. And it's very simple to do. Or you can just find yourself some checker pattern transfers. I think Dark Angels might have some. There might be on the Space Marine transfer sheet too. I'm not too sure. All right, so what I'm gonna do is take my Corax White and I'm gonna paint the inside gauges of all of the rebreather units. If I can see them. If I can see them, then I will paint them. And this, I'm not going to be afraid of getting messy. I should be using my size 2/0. So let's switch over. Some of these, like, their weapons are slung in front of their bodies in such a way that it wouldn't make sense to even try. But if I can, if I can see them. This is Warhammer. do 3D print minis. I want to get into the hobby, but $30 mini is a lot for me right now. I know. Yep, exactly. I think there's also a. Have you started already? Some bean. Have you already started painting or buying, getting into the hobby? I saw an interesting counter argument saying that like the investment to get into 3D printing is actually pretty high, and not just in the terms of buying the machine and whatever, but making sure you have an appropriate space, making sure you have like everything you need to actually print. And then like if you make a mistake, then you kind of lose your whole thing. I don't know, but like overall, I've only heard positive things about 3D printing. Yeah, controversial singer. Something I always liked about Krieg was the way the rifles more resembled the bolt action service rifles of the World War I with the combined stock and grip design. Yeah, Car 98s, that's what they remind me of too. You know, it's funny, I used to love using those in like Medal of Honor. And I was like, anytime I would pick one up, I'd be like, okay, this is the one I like using now. Okay. The PSP game. You remember what that was called? I don't remember what PSP game. Was it Vermintide? Trying to remember what was on PSP for this IP. They got some great games now, though. Not all of them, but there are some great Warhammer computer and video games out now. Rogue Trader comes to mind. Dark Tide. Vermintide. Free Blade. Yeah. It was Squad Command. Gothic Armada 2 is my favorite Warhammer game. Oh, Gothic Armada 2. Yeah, I know they had that Battlefleet Gothic game. There are some really good ones. There are also some clunkers. I think Space Marine 2 is so good. Space Marine 1 was so much fun. It's like little lint hairs all over my guys. Okay. Just came across. Thank you, Alfarius Omegon. Appreciate it. Oh no, you can see my hairy legs in my swim trunks. You guys see my swim trunks? There's 2 cans on it. Caw-caw. Yeah, my my whole vibe has always been for my channel. It's been I want it to be very relaxing, and I feel like so many Warhammer YouTubers now are like following that YouTube trend of being big and flashy and loud with the quick cuts and the edits. And since 2009, my channel vibe has always been relax. Let's have a good time. Let's paint. If you just want to watch me paint, but you're not painting what I'm painting, but you want me to just hang out with you in the background while you work, then you can see me paint up an entire miniature from primer to finish while you work on whatever you want to work on. Just put one of my WarbossTae videos on. We'll hang out. You need someone to hang out with while you get your work done, then that's what I've always been about. So if that's kind of what you're looking for, you got a long night of painting ahead, and you don't want to fall asleep, then drink some coffee, because watching one of my videos is, my wife said it's like the cure to insomnia because I'm so boring. And I was like, babes, you can't say that. You're gonna chase away all my viewers. And then she's like, nobody watches your live streams. I've painted my fair share of Death Korps of Krieg, and I gotta say, I really don't like these new gas masks. I much prefer the old, weird cloth anteater ones. Oh, I love the rumor of orcs being the big focus for 11th. Has it been confirmed, or is it still just a rumor yet? Toad Boy, been watching your channel for a number of years now. Love the vibe the whole time, and you've helped me along the way. Much respect from Australia. That really makes my day. Thank you. Thank you very much. Alfarius, hell yeah, I love the vibe. I can't hobby until I get a new dedicated hobby space set up, but I enjoy watching people paint. Yeah, it is. It really is therapeutic, and I've before I got back into painting, pretty much like full time, as much as I can, I remember having really big anxiety when it came to painting. Like I really felt like I had too much to paint. My pile of shame was too big. It felt overwhelming. I felt like I'd never get to everything I want to get to. And then when my wife encouraged me to start my channel, like to really get back into painting, doing it on this channel has been a huge help for me. And I was like, I want to share that. I want other people to feel that. Like, you don't have to stress out about painting, and you don't have to worry about comparing yourself to other people. And I feel like I paint a pretty decent tabletop standard, but I know, like I keep mentioning, I keep saying I'm never gonna win a golden demon or like any kind of award for painting, but I love the hobby, and I love how it makes me feel when I paint. I love feeling calm and centered and focused, and I love how it's a huge stress relief for me. As a father, I can't get out and do the things I used to do because my kids, usually the time that I have to paint, my free time has to be at home so that I can be here to help with the kids. So I can't go to the gym anymore. I can't go out to all the places that I used to go for my free time. And turning back to my miniatures and the YouTube channel has been just a real lifesaver. So if I can help you guys out, then that's just a bonus for me. If I can hang out with you guys while you're working, we can all get stuff done. We can all achieve our hobby dreams. Yeah, I've heard orcs also. Thank you, Alfaris. June, July. Yep. Orcs got me into Warhammer 2. When your father timetables change. Yep. 2300 here in Queensland. Woo! I wanted to make a whole dedicated video on this, but I realized, like, I don't think anybody's going to want to listen to me ramble on about it. But in summary, I think it's terrific that they're using Titus and they're building this whole narrative around him. I think they would have sold so many minis if they did. Could you imagine if they did like a kill team of the Rogue Trader characters from the video game Rogue Trader? That would have been so awesome. Because I know a lot of people who played Rogue Trader, but they don't play the tabletop. And there are such great characters in that game, man. So I like, basically, my point is I like I like them piggybacking off of the video game popularity that they've got going now. It's a very philosophical question, Michal. What was I doing? Trousers, okay. I gotta remember. Hi, the Krieg. I don't play them. I play Custodes. Thousand Suns and Chaos Knights. Nice. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna batch paint these next couple of sections. So all I'm doing is Gorthor brown on the dark brown parts, like the trousers and the gloves. I'm actually thinking of diving into this next, my friends. This Combat Patrol of Adepta Sororitas. This is the old one. And I'm really excited to be painting these because there's so many miniatures you get in this box. You got Sister Squad, Samuel L. Jackson. You get this Rhino, you get the Seraphim, and then you get like 5 of these Repentia sisters, and then 3 Arcoflagellants, a Penitent Engine. Oh my goodness, what an amazing spread of miniatures. And then old Mother Hubbard here. Madonna? Like a virgin. So I'm gonna be unboxing. Unfortunately, you can't get this Combat Patrol anymore, so I can't even link it as a product, but I'll do like individual unboxings for all of those guys or gals. That way, if you find something that interests you, you can purchase them individually instead of as a Combat Patrol. The new Sisters Combat Patrol looks pretty good too. I hear my daughter. Oh, my daughter woke up, you guys, and she came outside to find me. I'm gonna have to go. Bummer. Hey, baby, you woke up. You had a bad dream. All right, thanks for watching, players. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you consider becoming a channel member, joining Discord, all of that stuff. Thumbs up. Hope you guys have a great night. Deathcore!